Welcome back to the REVELSations Podcast. It's your boy Rev. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. I just finished interviewing two young men who are in the financial space. And when I say young men in the financial space, these guys are high schoolers and they're really intelligent young men, and they've started a business and they've taken that business and they've learned to invest and grow capital from their business. I believe that financial literacy is something that every school should be teaching, but we are not. They throw some financial literacy into one semester of a math class or one quarter of a math class, something like that. Nope, 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 nope. I believe the education system is getting it wrong. And I can say that because I'm an expert in the education system, as I recently finished my coursework for my doctorate in educational administration. So before we get into the conversation I had with the Franco brothers from Medellin, Colombia, please hit me up on all the social media platforms. That is the REVELSations Podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Listen to this. Let's learn something, and let's try to change education for the better, because we're all a product of the education system. And most of you, not us, most of you have children in the education system, and I know you want them to be financial literate. So let's figure out how these young men figured it out on their own. Let's get cracking.
Yeah, the revelations now televised. A platform for you and I. And now look with full heart and clear eyes. Now, these are just my thoughts. Truth on how I feel on these topics I reveal. Please know my toll, I always keep it real. Can't face the word if you can't face facts. For your time, just open up your mind. That's it, just live, think big, now take that. With God in me, this here was made by design. Yeah, the revelation will be televised. Revelations.
Back to the REVELSations Podcast. I'm very happy and excited to have these two young men with me, Pablo and Daniel Franco. How you guys doing today?
Perfect, Rev. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. So I am having you guys on the podcast because I am very impressed by you two young men. I think you all are great. Daniel, I taught last school year. You were in my history class, and Pablo, I met you as well. And I first met you, Pablo. You were selling some items at school. You were selling some pastries and some cinnamon rolls, and you and your brother were doing that together. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And I asked you guys, what were you doing with the money once you got it? Were you just buying cool things? And you guys told me that you were actually doing a little bit better. And I talked to Daniel, and he told me about the financial literacy. So I wanted to talk about that with you guys today. You both are young men, but you have great financial literacy. So let me know what brought on the idea of creating a business. I mean, you guys are very young, but you decided to start a business. So how did you get that business mindset at such an early age?
I think it mostly was due to our parents. You're gonna see that in this meeting. We're gonna refer back to our parents a lot, because it was just like the example of what we don't want it. I know it sounds kind of bad, but it made an example to us of something we don't want to be when we grow up, because both of them are doctors. So they are always like in their own thing with medicine. But most doctors don't go out and explore other fields. So they had very bad like financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And like their finances and all that stuff, they were very stuck just to medicine. Mm-hmm. And when the pandemic came around, because they were doctors, and with the case of COVID, they didn't have their work. They lost their job, and they had to be laid off for a couple of like weeks, or even I think even months. Mm-hmm. So it was like this moment of like
realization, in which we knew we had to at least do something so our future selves had more freedom than they had in moments of crisis like this.
Okay, so COVID, you saw that your parents, they didn't have a lot of work because, of course, the world was shut down. And you guys said to yourselves, I don't want that to happen to me, right? So they say there are 3 ways to learn a lesson. You can learn by observing, you can learn by experience it yourself, or you can learn by hearing other stories. So it looks like you guys observed your parents and the fact that they only had one stream of income and decided you don't want that to happen to you. So what were the conversations like between the two of you to say, hey, let's try to do something different than what our parents, not only that conversation, but then how did you learn how to start a business and use your finances wisely?
The first question of what was our conversation, to be honest, I don't remember. I remember it came naturally to us, like at the same time that we had to do something, so that story doesn't repeat itself. And we started, for example, looking at YouTube videos. YouTube was our greatest master in everything we've learned, in everything with trading, e-commerce, marketing, everything we've learned, like in business, is mostly YouTube. And yeah, we didn't have like a direct conversation in which we said we have to do something. We need to be financial in our futures. We just started looking and seeing our resources and how can we plan. And it was very natural to us that we were very disciplined with money.
Okay.
So we didn't spend a lot. We didn't go out with our friends and waste all the money we gain on the week. So we started saving and saving and saving and saving until a point in which we said we need to do something with this money because inflation is gonna eat this thing and we are not using it for luxury or for traveling, nothing. So let's put it somewhere. And then we started to look into the stock market.
Okay. So looking into the stock market. So you both are, well, when you started this, at least you both were too young to have your own stock. So how did you learn about the stock market? Is this something your parents taught you? Is this something that you learned on your own? What introduced you to the stock market?
I think what introduced us to the stock market is when we started to look into like ways to make money. Like the stock market was just a topic that was brought up. And I mean, a lot of people think you can get rich by it like in a couple of seconds, but that's not really true. But we still got into it and we started to look into it and research and started to do like our own work on it. And we just took the decision to just buy what we had conviction about, what we researched, what we learned, and put our skills to actually work.
I want to do a parenthesis. Our parents didn't actually know a lot about the stock market. When we started, they told us a story in which they actually tried with a broker and things didn't go as well. They lost the money. And so they were somewhat conservative about the idea of us starting in the stock market. However, they're very open with us in those topics of business. So it went great.
Okay, good. So your parents, they had a negative experience in the stock market, but they still supported you all because you did the research. How did you find out about the stock market? Was it just YouTube videos? Like, did you all take classes? How did you learn about stocks? And Daniel, you said you did research on which stocks to buy. So educate the people on how they can learn about the stock market the same way you did.
Well, I think we started the same with YouTube. Like it was YouTube is a great master if you know who to follow and what what content to actually consume.
Okay.
We started the idea of investing in the stock market. Yeah, basically all through YouTube, through a channel. I think its name is New Money. And New Money is an Australian guy that knows a lot about investing and follows the Warren Buffett strategy, in which is not becoming rich fast, but becoming wealthy in the long term, picking the right stocks in your area of interest or in your area of competence and buying them in an intrinsic value. And we follow that strategy all the way through, buying stocks that we know weren't a trend and they actually had an impact on the market. Yeah, basically.
Okay. And can you explain the difference between, you said get rich fast or be wealthy over time? What is the difference between rich and wealthy? I don't think a lot of people understand that.
I think the main difference is that rich is, I will say it like a salary. You gain it like over time. Like for example, this month I made $10,000 or something like that. But instead, wealth is like building something that will give you independence on the future. So it's not actually on the physical money you have, but on the independence the money gives you, like on the long term.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I think
go ahead.
it's more sustainable to say so. And also, wealth could be interpreted in many different areas. A rich person might be rich only in money. A wealthy person might be very athletic, very like rich to say so. Family bonds, contacts, networks, and everything like that.
Okay, yeah. So it's building wealth. Wealth isn't just money. Wealth has a part of money, but just that. I think it's amazing that you all have this financial literacy and this understanding, but it seems like you've had to do a lot of learning about it on your own. Your parents were there to support you, of course. And I've had a couple of conversations with you all about the fact that schools, our school, and not only our school, but most schools do not teach financial literacy. And I think they should. I think it should be a class that everybody has to take starting in the 6th grade all the way through finishing high school. So what do you think about the idea of financial literacy being taught inside of schools as a class that students have to take?
We currently have a class called financial math, but it's more about calculating interest in the long term. And yeah, you could use that in your future, maybe with a debt, or yeah, with a hipoteca, something like that. But I think it's not teaching the actual, it's a lot about the financial, like actual math that you may do in your future, but not the actual day-to-day struggles in finances, which is, for me, it's the most important part. For example, never have I ever heard in school how to do taxes, or what actually are taxes, what percentage is taken from my income. So when we become adults, we are, how do I say it? Yeah, we are alone in this topic. We don't know what to do.
Yes.
That's very important.
I agree. I think that schools should, with the financial literacy classes, they should teach classes on how to save, how to invest, taxes, how to start business. And these can happen over several years. It doesn't always have to be in 1 year. So maybe 1 year is just about saving and different things that you can save. Another different stocks and bonds you can buy, another how to start business. So I want to talk to you guys about the business you all started. I know you have several businesses now, right? It's more than one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about the one that I observed at the school. Okay, so you guys were like at lunchtime or at break time, everybody has these, things that they're selling, and you guys were selling cinnamon rolls. And I bought a couple of them. I was hungry and they were pretty good. So just tell me about, what do you guys like, the idea behind your business, and how your first business have made you get into other businesses as well.
Look, if we want to get into this business, we have to look a little bit back, because it wasn't the first school business. We used to have a product which we made at home, which was very like a big sacrifice on like our time, which it did good, because we were just starting out. It was like the first business that actually started giving us like an income, or like some money to actually invest and use it for other things. And then that business stopped. Too much work, too much sacrifice. And then we went on to another business, which was selling sodas in school, which sodas are not permitted to be sold at school. So it was very good business. We didn't have to do a lot of work, because the product, we don't have to make it. And like in time, it's actually pretty efficient. But we had to close it up because the school like caught on to us. But then we moved on to the current business in school, which are the cinnamons, which we do have like a permit to sell. Also, not a product we make, because we realized a product we make, we might have like a better like profit margins, but it's a lot of time and a big sacrifice, like our free time and all that. So we went on and we saw this product, which was very good. We had a good profit margin, and we just started selling it at school, and it seemed to be a hit. So we just continued selling it. And then, like the main question you were asking us is what we do with this money and how we use it to make other businesses. And like that's the main idea of this business, because it's eventually Pablo is gonna graduate, also me. So this business is not a long term. It's not long term. It's not sustainable because it's eventually going to fall. So what we're doing with that money is we're taking it, and first off, like the stock market, which that is long term. And we also have other businesses which are building, and also we're using the money to create like high income skills, which we're trying to learn. For example, right now we're trying to learn trading, which is risky, and you always hear story of people losing a lot of money. But if you actually do it with proper risk management and actually taking the time to learn, which takes a lot of time, you could actually make something out of it. And it's just that idea of taking what's not sustainable to sustain what will be long-term sustainable.
Okay, I think one of the most impressive things about you both is that you all think about your future. Most teenagers do not think about their future. They just think about right now. So Pablo, as you were saying earlier, you don't spend your money on just going out and partying on the weekend. And Danielle, you were saying that your business is not sustainable. So you're using it now to make as much money as you can in the short term, but then you're trying to turn that into long-term thinking. Where did you learn that concept of, we need to think about our future more than just our present? Because most young people, I'll be honest, most people, young or old, don't think about that. They just think about right now. They don't think about their future. So where did you guys get that concept of thinking about long-term sustainability?
I think it's important to live in the moment as a young person. I do think that's important, but there is a difference between living in the moment and sacrificing your future, right? I know a guy in the school, it's a friend of mine, which he actually also has businesses, and he gains a lot of money, but on the weekends, poof, it disappears completely. And he doesn't even know about it. And it's sad to me that he uses that money to buy alcohol and everything like that, and doesn't think about how he can spend it on his future, on his education. And well, it's a very sad idea that teenagers these days lack that vision to build a sustainable future in which they can live a better life with the people they want. Mm-hmm. And it's very sad.
And I also want to add, like, you cannot like get it wrong. We also enjoy our time. We do party and we do have fun and we just do go out and all that stuff. It's just a balance between thinking about our future and the present, which I think is what people lack, like the balance.
Okay, yes. So yeah, of course you have to use some of your money to enjoy your life now, right? But you do have the idea that going into the future is important. Right. So with that, I know you spoke about your parents earlier. How important is your parents' support to you guys and what you're doing? They made mistakes in the beginning, right, with their own stocks, but now they're really supportive of you. How important is that? Because you're not getting the support at school. We're not teaching you financial literacy classes, savings, investments. You have to learn on your own. But how important is the parental support that you're getting at home to your overall business goals?
I think it's essential. If someone has a lot of vision and a lot of willpower to start businesses, educate themselves, but their parents don't support it, there's going to be a lot of resistance, and on the other part, if your parents know a lot about financial stuff or businesses and they are great business managements, then you have a very big advantage. Like, we know a lot of people in our school that are very bad at school, but they probably will be the top of the class in financial stuff and businesses because their parents know a lot, know about that stuff. They support them, they teach them, they can help them create the connections, the networks, the providers, and everything like that. And your parents, well, education for me starts at home. And the essential, like the soft skills that you also need for businesses, are given at home. For example, networking, communication skills, discipline, which is extremely important, and yeah, etc.
And I also want to add something. What I really like about our parent support is that I believe the main reason they also support us a lot is because when we started to get into this world, we also led them with us. So they started to learn things with us, and we started to also educate them. And like getting into this, they started to be more conscious of their financials, and they started to open their vision to this other world, which they had basically no knowledge of. And so they started to learn alongside with us. So for example, my mother is taking financial education classes, which are like getting her finances right and things like that, which if it wasn't for us, she'd have taken those classes. And yeah, it's a very good process for both of us.
Wow. So you all are teaching your parents while they're supporting you, you're teaching them. I think that's awesome. So it starts at home. But there are some people whose family might be, some young people whose family might be against it. They don't want them to do it. What advice would you give to somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps? They want to have a business. They want to learn more about the stock market. They want to think about long-term financial security, but they don't have supportive parents. What advice would you give to some young people in that situation?
It's very hard to give advice about not supportive parents, even like we had supportive parents. So we actually don't know exactly what to say. I know that, well, what we can say is that there's a lot of resources nowadays in which you can learn everything online, like basically everything. MIT and Harvard have online free courses. There are Google free marketing, digital marketing courses. In YouTube, there's a lot about investing, about trading. Everything we've learned is in trading is learned at YouTube. And I've known a lot of people that become rich through trading in YouTube. I once met an Uber that actually was a very rich young guy. He had like 29 years or less, and he learned everything of trading in YouTube, and he lent his parents money and he returned it like with interest and everything like that.
Oh wow.
But for the parents, the advice, Rev, wouldn't know how to respond to that. I think there's a lot of willpower that's coming into play from the person. Yeah, so
that's an issue. So like I'll give you an example with me. I didn't know anything about financial literacy because my parents didn't. And when I was growing up, there was no YouTube, right? Like I'm older, so there literally YouTube did not exist when I was your age. It was not a thing that existed. So a lot of people of my generation, they did not get the financial literacy in school because, like I said before, they're not teaching at school. And then if your parents don't know, then it's hard for you they can't teach you. And I would say to the young people whose parents will not support them, that, like Pablo said, there is willpower and you would have to do it on your own. You can still get out there. You can read books. You can go to YouTube. There's a lot of resources out today. Students and young people today have much more information available than I did when I was younger, right? So that's a part of the world. The world is so much smaller. When I say smaller, I mean information is easily shared with each other. Like you said, in YouTube, you can find those things all over. So before I let you guys go, because we'll wrap up here in just a few minutes, I want to talk about your futures. So you're doing all this. What are your future plans? You don't have to give away all of your secrets, but where do you see your businesses going? Do you want to be business owners? Do you want to just have a regular job and then still have your stocks as a second string of income, what are your business goals and financial goals long term?
Like at this time, our main focus obviously is studying. We obviously we want to go to university and all that stuff. You always hear stories of dropouts who become extremely successful, but that's like the 1% or even less. But I was thinking these days what I actually want to do in my future. And yeah, I want to have my business and all that stuff. But I was thinking like the main thing I want to have is independence and like the like liberty to be free, to be free. And I was thinking, what should I do? Because I was thinking either I build this business and then sell it and live off the money I made and then have like my life and build my family and all that stuff, or keep working and keep building my business. And I think that all depends like in the future, the situation I am at that time. But the main goal is just to be financially independent.
Okay.
I think on my side, well, I dream on becoming also financially free, and I dream on doing basically all my business with family, like here my partner, my associate, and after university, well, I am planning also on going to university, not because of following like the rat race or something like that, but because of the networking. I think university has a very important part that it's networking. The people you connect with might be very powerful people, or they have contacts which could help you later in your life.
Absolutely.
You dream after university. Well, I hope to have built a business in which I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. However, I think it's also important to have at least some experience in the workforce, because there are many problems that appear there that you get a knowledge of, and from there you have an idea. You create an idea of what to build, what problems to solve, what's the wow factor in the market, and build from then on.
I think that's awesome. You guys do want to be financially free, and that is not depending on someone else or someone else's job to help your livelihood. I think all of us, even me as a teacher, I am dependent on the school to pay me so that I can pay my bills, right? But financially free is I am the person that I depend on. I don't depend on someone else or another company. I depend on me, and I can go out and make my own capital. I think that is great. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. You all inspire me. Daniel, you said a moment ago that you could maybe sell your business. I heard that there are 3 good ways to make money in business. One, you can invest in somebody's business who already has started. You can start your own business, or you can buy a business, right? You can buy a business. You guys have started a business. One day I hope to buy a business. I'll tell you now, I hope to buy a school. Pablo, you and I have talked about that before, about how I want to, how the type of school I want to run. So instead of starting it, I want to get some investors and maybe buy a school one day. And you guys, honestly, make me think about my financial literacy. And I've studied a lot since I met you both. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining the REVELSations podcast. You guys are an inspiration not only to me, but to other people. And I'm quite sure when folks listen to this, they will be inspired to learn a little bit more about their financial literacy as well. So thank you guys for joining.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Rob.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of your break.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was an interview with Pablo and Daniel. Those are some really sharp guys. They are financially literate at such a young age, and they're steadily learning. They both talked about how they learned from their parents' mistakes early on, and that they are trying to build off of those mistakes and make sure they are more financially stable going forward. They both want to be financially free and not dependent on others. They have started businesses at a young age. So in an earlier verse, I had Miss Pat on talking about how it's never too late to go after your goals and your dreams. And now I have two young men on here where you're never too young. You're never too young. So people, go out there, learn more about finances, your financial space. If we have any school leaders under the sound of my voice, please try to implement financial literacy classes into the curriculum, not just something like financial math or something like that. Complete entire courses so people can learn a little bit more about their finances. Of course, you can contact me on all the social media platforms at the REVELSations Podcast. That's on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email the show, revelationspodcast@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'm happy about this, and I'm excited what the new year 2024 brings us. I am, because we are, and I'll holler at you guys next time. Peace.